Now, there's a big contention around the new Call of Duty online multiplayer, and this has to do with skill based group up or skill based competitive that is usually associated with rank playing. And although there's been a lot of memes flown around by different content creators regarding skill based gaming, there's something really important, especially in today's day and age, that needs to be better and more thoroughly explained to people so that way they can understand why a lot of people have issues with the new Call of Duty multiplayer and why somebody like myself is currently not considering playing it. There has been a lot of Call of Duty games, there has been a lot of Halo games, and as much as I love Halo and I love Call of Duty, there's something about every now and then getting into a lobby and just being with people. Back in the day when I played on Xbox 360, which was the console that got me into the multiplayer game space.
I'm not bitching whatsoever. I'm just nasty knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Outside of LAN events and arcade events. See, my history with gaming goes a little bit deeper than your average YouTuber or your average content creator. When I began gaming and when I began being interested in the platform of video games themselves, it began in a cyber cafe of all things. Now, many of you know that I'm not from a foreign country. I'm an American, just like many of the people who are watching this. And if you are an American, you know that we don't have a lot of cyber cafes. However, back in the day when I was growing up, cyber cafes were kind of this middling thing that was appearing every now and then. They would pop up and then disappear and then end up in a lasertron somewhere, and then when that lasertron went out of business, you can get cheap computer parts. In fact, this is actually how I got some of my first computer parts super cheap. Is the cyber cafe I went to growing up closed down, and they were selling components of their smaller PCs in the back, which you could privately rent. This is something I regularly did on the weekends. I would save my allowance money, and it was $5 an hour credit at the cyber cafe. Now, what does this have to do with social gaming, or in this regard, skill-based competitive gaming? Well, it ties back into it because when you're in a LAN event or you're playing with other people in a LAN event, typically you have two different communities. You had the community of people who were there to enjoy video games and be as a collective in a group, and you had the people who were there who were on teams and they were organizing clans and drawing up heat maps of levels so that way they can absolutely crush all of their competition. Neither one of these things is better than the other. They're both a way of enjoying video games, and both are fun in their own respects. Later in life, I went on to play Battlefield 4 competitively and was actually a Gold League champion. I don't want to talk about that, but that was a part of my life. And I was also very good at Halo 3. I played a lot of it. Do my skills stand up? No, I'm old. Like, I'm rustier. I'm not as good as I once was. But that doesn't change the fact that these games were very impactful because of two things, that being social and competitive. Social was set up in a specific way for multiplayer matchmaking, where the only thing that mattered was your level. Nothing else affected how you were matched up with people in a social game settings. A lot of my friends would get into calls and into different communities because of social gaming. Social Slayer was very important for my growth into the Halo 3 competitive scene because the people that I reached in this Social Slayer queuing system were the ones that eventually talked me into playing rank. They were the ones who I played with regularly on ranked. These were the people who pushed me to be better than I was, who gave me that edge in competition. And this translated from my time being at LAN events, such as cyber cafes, and the different parties that they were holding. You had the all-time greatest who were these local legends playing Call of Duty 2 who would absolutely decimate you in these competitions that they would hold. But it never changed anything because the people I got a chance to play with laughed and had a good time the entire time. And that's where I made friends. Much like the Halo 3 lobbies, I made friends in the social queuing. A lot of games today are no longer doing social queuing. Things like the new Call of Duty need to be changed, especially today after an epidemic and where people are more spread apart than ever before. Competitive gaming is phenomenal if you choose to participate in it. If you want to have that tight-knit community and have that competitive edge, that is 100% perfect for you. Nobody wants to take that away from you, but allowing a similar structure to that of Halo social queuing and Call of Duty social queuing is something that we need more than ever today. Call of Duty has an opportunity to completely change the landscape of gaming once again. Bring back the social creativity that was Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare and Black Ops 2. Allow us to queue with people regardless of our skills and, try to push us to then, persistently queue with those people, which isn't even a part of the Call of Duty game as it is right now, which is a massive issue. If you enjoy a game that you have with somebody and you want to play with them again, you have no persistent queue. You're not going to make new friends online because of this game. Many people talk about the reasons why some games are just not holding up to these older titles, or these games just don't have a longer effect on the community than they did in the past. And that's mainly because there is no persistent multiplayer. The social aspect has been removed. People would rather sit in Xbox Live parties, mute the entire team, or sit in their Discord call and not communicate with each other and not have those social communication because there's no point. There is no persistent game loop. If somebody sucks and they don't want to be a part of that group, they can leave that group and another person can replace it. But instead, Call of Duty has created a narrative within their company that states that this is a competitive game first and foremost, and that is driving people away. I left the multiplayer scene years ago. I no longer enjoy the multiplayer scene. I understand other people do, but I don't think it's a big deal to ask for casual playlists. I don't think it's a big deal to ask for persistent matchmaking and better optimizations for social queuing. How could we do it on the Xbox 360 and then go from that and do it so wrong? Not everything needs to be competitive. Not everything needs to be this abhorrent and aggressive natured gaming. Nothing in this needs to be aggressive constantly. There was a time when people used to shit talk each other for the fun of it in social lobbies. And the common joke was, if you're gonna get so sweaty, take it to ranked. Because we don't care. We're not here for your constant bullshit. We're not here to have you scream at each other about kill assists and things like that. Leave that in the ranked. Leave that in your ungrouped, no clan having ranked. Nobody ever wanted to hear it. Unless you were in a group, then we did want to hear it. That was the time and the place for it. I played social, I queued with these people, we're having a good team, we've won 10 times in a row, we're going to ranked, we're gonna go squash, and then we get nuked. That's just the way it was. Listen, I'm not saying that modern gaming is bad. I'm not saying that these games don't have potential. What I'm saying is they're forgetting what made them special. And that was the community. And there is no community. The community is on Twitch. The community is on YouTube. The community is at each other's throats constantly, sitting in Discord calls and not actually communicating with the game. I dream of a day where we can have persistent matchmaking and we can have those connections again. I'm tired of having to just play the same game over and over again. I don't want to go load up Modern Warfare 2, where I've completed every prestige and every single challenge, and nobody wants to talk because they're all in their own groups and they're sweating so hard. I'm not interested in that. I want to load up Call of Duty, join a social queue, and just play a couple games that don't require me to sweat or do require me to sweat. Because the thing is in social queuing, you don't know. Just being based on your level means that you might have to really sweat, or you might not. You might just have an easy dub and it's a good time. But if it doesn't affect your overall ranking or your overall stature in some ranked setting or some competitive setting, who cares? That's the point. It doesn't have to matter. It's a video game. We're supposed to be having fun. I mean, people always say, Ian, why do you enjoy and look for these old boomer shooters? It's because they're fun. It isn't a community of super intolerant aggression. Sure, people throw around slurs. Those people are everywhere. They're not going anywhere. I mean, people hype those people up to the forefront of all these streaming websites, and they're not bad people. They're just a part of a culture that isn't very big anymore. The last big multiplayer game I enjoyed was Enlisted, and the model was too difficult for me to keep up with. I have other things I want to do. I have a life I want to live. I want to produce content. Enlisted required too much of my attention. But this is an opportunity where Call of Duty could take the crown and be my next, multiplayer game. I haven't really been interested in multiplayer since Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, or Battlefield 4. I have not really touched much of anything besides Destiny, and that was not online in regards to the PvP. That's about all I have to say. I guess here at the end of the video, I just wanted to state, from this point forward, I'm going to try not to be live streaming as often. I might do marathons every now and then, but streaming and making YouTube content out of it has been really difficult to get quality to where I'm very happy with. I'm kind of forcing myself to learn different editing softwares and how to edit and do special effects and things like that. It's why I'm making the Resident Evil series, forcing myself to do better in regards to basic editing and YouTube content. I left Twitch a long time ago, and I don't want to go back. I find that I'm much happier here on YouTube, and the content that I get to make is more fun. So if you're enjoying the content that I make, or you want something that's higher quality and things like that, please stay tuned. I'm gonna try to start recording the God of War content instead of streaming it. Anything that's newer, I'm going to try to not stream, and I'm going to record instead. It'll be weird because I'm used to talking to one or two people at a time, or chit-chatting with like Discord groups that I'm in while I'm streaming, and that's going to be different. Narratively, I'm going to have to really do some soul searching to produce content. I am inspired by like Voice Critical and those kinds of guys, but I'm also inspired by like Jacksepticeye and Markiplier and things like that, and I believe that I have it in me to produce the content that I want to produce and make it much nicer than it was in the past. So yeah, I'm gonna do that, and I'll announce things like marathons and things like that over in the community tab on Twitter and in the Discord whenever I get around to it. So I'm going to take some time off, kind of, to focus on learning how to use DaVinci Resolve 18. I'm going to try to get better at editing. I'm going to try to get higher resolution and higher frame rate and higher fidelity bit rate recordings made, so my content doesn't look as grainy or pixelated after compression by YouTube's algorithm. Because being a small content creator, there is compression. in some regards, it's not a big deal. In other regards, it can be a big deal, mainly with blacks and whites and how the gradients will work and things like that, but you don't have to worry about that. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. This is different, and it was weird to produce. It's been a long time since I made content like this, so I'll see you in the next video. Let me know what you think down below.